months ago, maybe more than 2 months ago. So many things that I had in my head that I was going to say is unfortunately gone on some things. The information just isn't there. It's been too long, but at least I made slides, so we won't be completely without. Okay, so Europe River. Da, 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 da. It is a booming industry for boomers. We all know that it is definitely mostly a boomers thing, and that's why everybody is like, boomers, you know. I think the great thing with the boomers, though, is they're pretty straightforward, and as long as you're straightforward with them and a little bit patient, it's really not that hard to talk to them. Although I have heard I am the boomer whisperer, so who knows? Maybe because my parents are boomers. All my aunts and uncles are boomers, so plenty of experience. 77 million baby boomers in the US. Also, a lot of these stats are now going to be incorrect because of coronavirus, but 42% of these boomers plan to travel. Also, probably no longer correct, but I'm still sure there's a decent chunk. But that alone lets you know that hey, there is a big market for boomers in travel. And before, maybe they still do, probably not, they were 50% of consumer spending in travel. So I know it's a lot of people are just like, yeah, but they're hard to sell. It's hard to talk to boomers. Are there really that many of them? There actually are. They do represent a big portion of the spending. And the biggest thing about boomers is they want it to be easy and a package. They don't want to have to do a bunch of stuff. So the easier you can make it on them, the easier you can simplify it and present it to them, the better. Find out just the highlights. Don't overdo it with too many, of course, depending on the client, sometimes you need to overdo it with too many amenities. But the more you can show that this is an easy, relaxing vacation, the better off you're going to be. And many of them have already done tons of Carnival cruises and Princess, and they're just sick of it, and they want the smaller experience. And even with these river cruise ships that have maybe 144 people on them, it doesn't feel like it. It feels like you see the same 30 people day after day after day. And some people are like, oh, 144, that's too much. It honestly, it doesn't feel like it. You don't get that experience. And there are people like me who freaking loved their river cruise. It is not just an quote unquote older person thing. And there were plenty of younger people on the cruises. There were even some teenagers on the cruise, and they all seemed to have a really good time. Really great mixture of having enough time to relax, but also having some activity, and it's really a wining and dining thing. I would say I would almost consider it a booze cruise. I've never drank so much wine in my life. Let's just be honest. So yes, fun for all ages, a picture from mine. Obviously, all younger here. We had Eric, our little protector man, who walked around and we got to put all our stuff in his backpack and he'd carry it for us, so that was fun. Travel agent from Arizona.
Yeah, like, I mean, if we start.
I hear. Oh, Jess and Jane, I don't know if I hear you guys through my phone or yours, Jess.
Oh, I thought my sound was off there.
Okay, cool. Itineraries and ports of call. How do I go backwards? There we go. All of France. I mean, a lot of this doesn't matter. If a person knows that they want wine and hot and sun, they're going to want a Spain and Portugal cruise. A person typically knows if they want a France cruise. It's really the Rhine and the Danube that you sometimes have to help people choose between. But let's go ahead and continue to the rivers. Danube, this is just kind of an easy way people, because they don't know. They're like, okay, the Rhine, the Danube, I don't know what I want, you know? So this is just, you can tell them like, okay, if you love classical music, operas, ancient abbeys, that Eastern European feel, that's definitely the Danube. For the Rhine, it really is, it's France and Germany back and forth for the whole cruise with the Netherlands and Switzerland at the end. I will say with Switzerland, if your people are budget conscious and they want to get there a few days before their cruise starts, have them arrive in Amsterdam and have them disembark in Switzerland, because Switzerland is crazy expensive. A crepe that is, say, 2 or 3 euros in France is 14 euros in Switzerland. So if they want to stay a couple extra days and they're budget conscious, don't do it in Switzerland. It's so expensive. Hi, Mary.
Sorry,
And
I could barely ever get off the phone, but I didn't want to miss it.
It's okay. I saw you were on the phone. So yes, that's literally what I just said. Rhone, Franche, lavender fields, grapevine, Great food, wine, and nice weather. I mean, that's really the sum it up. But if they have that beautiful lavender field thing in mind, send them on their own and they will love it. And of course, Duro, as I said before, wine, dine, warm weather, and vineyards. That really just sums it up right there if you want to put it in a nutshell. Categories, budget, that's going to be quasi and Viking. However, they are a bit different, but we'll get into that in other slides. Mid-range, I would put Alma, Emerald, and Avalon. I know in the past we had Alma set as our luxury option, but with all the companies we have now, Alma really isn't the luxury option anymore. But Alma, Emerald, and Avalon are very similar in what they offer. I would say the style is going to be a little bit different, but we'll get to that in some more slides. And luxury, Uniworld, Scenic, and Crystal. This is just a quick, easy, if you find out the price range, you really, it's not so overwhelming. You don't have 8 companies to choose from, you have 2 or 3. And then you just kind of go on, if they're looking for super active options, Avalon is the one who has the kayaking and extra hiking and things that some of the other ones, they have active and discovery cruises that center around being active. So if somebody wants to be really active on a river cruise, Avalon's the option. And of course, these all have different perks and things that the others don't have. We will get to that. And I believe this was a link to the spreadsheet just that shows the budget, mid-range, luxury, and shows what each company offers and doesn't offer with the different ships too. I didn't want to do that. Here we go. Okay, deck plans. Let's see here. So as I was telling them, Mary, when I first created this 2 months ago, I had all these things in my head that I wanted to say about them, and by now I've forgotten a lot. So I originally had a reason for this. I was going to show you guys something specific, and now I'm not even quite sure remembering what I was going to show you. I think some of it was just maybe the setup. I feel like there were things on the deck plans I wanted to point out and the differences between the ships, but I apologize because 2 months later, I don't quite remember what those all were. So we're gonna skip that. Common amenities. A lot of people are like, oh, I have to have a gym on my ship. Well, they pretty much all have gyms. Or any of these things, they all say that these have to be included. None of these things help you narrow down a ship because they basically all have these things included. You know, turn down service, snack, spa, gym, Wi-Fi, you name it, they've got it. Oh, this is from my cruise. The fun waiters, a day in the life of a cruise. It's pretty simple. You have your breakfast. You typically have your briefings. You might have, I do breakfast, coffee, briefings, lunch, and then you have afternoon excursions, dinner. Sometimes after dinner, you will have more excursions, but then it's pretty much drinks in bed. And you say, wow, that's not very active. But before you know it, you've gone through all of these. You can't believe the day is over and you're exhausted and maybe a little bit drunk, depending on how much wine you drank out of that bottomless glass. So these 2 guys right here, they kept our wine glasses filled the entire time. We would actually flip them over to keep them from giving us more, and they would come over and put them back right side up and fill them again anyway. So we just couldn't get out of drinking, it seemed. It was forced upon us. Quasi, okay, this is our 3-star family-owned operation in Europe that pretty much this one and Alma are the only ones any of us are decently familiar with. Okay, why are they cheaper? Well, yeah, family owned and operated. It's not, even though they have so many ships, it's not like corporate like you would feel from Viking. And because if they have so many ships, they have the high volume. Think McDonald's. McDonald's does so much that they can charge less. We won't mention the quality of the food. Let's just leave that out of there for now with McDonald's. And also the Wi-Fi for Quasi is only in the lounge. You're not going to get great Wi-Fi service in the cabins. That's important to note for passengers if they feel like they want to, you know, sit in their rooms and Skype with their family. That's not going to be a thing on a Quasi ship. But if they're in it for the cruising experience, it's probably not going to be what they want to do anyway. Ships are pretty basic. The interior is definitely different. You guys have seen the Quasi ships. They almost look a little strange. For our American eyes, I think just with the European design in mind, they're a little bit different. And you do actually have beer and wine with meals with Quasi, except for the Christmas cruises. I don't know why it's all of their cruises except Christmas cruises, but that is a thing. And that's good to note. They actually take pride in their food. They do have Michelin star chefs on their boats. And they have a lot of theme cruises around European events. So if you have a client who says, there's this festival that I want to do a cruise around, well, Quasi actually probably has that option. We might not have it on their on our website, but you can probably find it on theirs. And they do a lot of the lesser known rivers. If you have somebody naming some obscure river, Quasi probably has something on it. And very diverse. It's going to be a lot more diverse than, say, a Viking cruise that's mainly going to have Canadians and Americans. They're going to have people from all over the world on their cruises, which is great fun, and it's a great budget option for people with that smaller budget. If they have a really small budget, this is the only option. Okay.
Tanesia, quick question on Quasi.
Yeah.
I've heard people say it's all super older travelers, which is really hard with the budget travelers who are usually younger. Do you have any more concrete information about the demographics?
You know what? Let me pull up my spreadsheet real quick because I had actually looked into that once. I don't remember what I found out. Let me see. Okay. Quasi. I don't recall where I put that information. I think it is older. Some older people, it's not going to be as younger as maybe, I feel like Viking, you're going to have more people in your 40s and AMA than you would say Quasi, but I can't give you a total concrete answer on that, Mary, but what you said seems right. Again, I've forgotten a lot of what I knew 2 months ago. Okay, example of their strange, to my eye, kind of strange looking ships. Just, I don't know, the cabins is definitely going to be more basic. I guess you get what you pay for with the Europe River cruises. But from everything I've heard, I feel like I've heard that the staff is great with Quasi. You're not going to get a subpar experience with service and things of that sort. They've definitely got that family owned, family feel on their ships. Okay, Viking. It's like our dark horse of river cruising, it seems like in the office a little bit. But they are going to be a little bit higher, I would say. It's in the budget category with Quasi, but they are higher than Quasi for sure, I would say. I think it's the exclusions that kind of put them down in category to the four stars. I've heard people say, "Oh, Quasi only gives you one excursion the whole thing," or I'm sorry, Viking doesn't give you any excursions, but they actually do give you an included excursion every day, one included excursion, more available for purchase. And if you have people who hate kids, Viking is a great option. They do not allow children on their boats, so that is actually something that's really good to know. And as far as I know, none of the other river boats have that. Let's see. Yes, and also this is a note for people, you get those boomers who have never traveled before and they're very nervous about going to another country. This is a great option because they have seen Viking commercials on TV for the last 20 years. They're familiar with it. They feel more comfortable with it. So even though for their money, something like AMA or Emerald might be a lot better option, you're probably going to make sure to present this anyway. Even if we know it's not maybe their best choice, they're going to be more comfortable with it most likely. I've definitely run into that. And, they do have some good things. The cruise ships are new. They're very clean. They're very nice. They have things like putting greens and walking tracks on the top. And they have the libraries. They do have elevators, which is important for some of our older clientele. They have laundry service, and they even have an organic herb garden on the top deck, which is just such an interesting, kind of cool thing to do. Okay, AMA. We all know AMA. I'm going to breeze through AMA. Solid 4 stars. I cruised with AMA. Mary's cruised with AMA. I think they're amazing. And if you get to cruise with Andy, you're even better off because he'll make it really entertaining. All excursions included. They give multiple options for every single port. You can do something active like biking or hiking. You can do some type of a city tour, and then even in that city tour, they have a slow walkers option. So if you have people who are mobility impaired, they will have that option of that slow walkers where they're not going to feel rushed or pushed or like they're going to get left behind. Ships are new and clean, as is all of these ships for the most part, but they do have a very warm feeling. It has like a at-home a vibe in the ships versus maybe a clean, sterile, elegant vibe. It's more of a very homey vibe. Great service. The staff literally made the cruise. They feel like family. Fantastic 4-course meals at lunch and dinner. And there's always food available, so you really don't have to worry about that. They only have one lounge. A lot of the ships have multiple lounges, but AMA only has one because what would have been the space on the ship that would have been a second lounge, they turned into a chef's table where they have their chef create this highfalutin fancy created meal that he thinks is the best. And it's nothing like I'd ever had. All these little tiny bites of things, like 7 courses of one bite of these different kinds of food. Some people love that. It was interesting. Not my cup of tea. Some of the ships, the main dining rooms are kind of on the lower level. So it has smaller windows up top, where some of the other ships have their dining rooms on higher level where they have floor to ceiling windows. So some of the AMA ships have this, some of them don't, but I could see how dining with floor to ceiling windows would be really nice versus the one I had where it was more like a fixed window cabin, that skinny window at the top. Also, room service is not available. You can't even purchase it unless you are in a suite. It is not an option. So if somebody thinks they're going to want some, waiting on in their cabin, it's not going to happen unless you book the suite. You couldn't hand them $200 to get somebody to bring you a coffee or bacon and eggs from a hangover if you needed it to your cabin. It's not going to happen. And for some people, that's really important. And they do have plenty of triple occupancy ships. I do have a list of these here. If anybody wants to know off the top of their head, Mora, I spelled that wrong. If any of you guys want that, let me know. Comes in handy. Oh, pro tip, let your traveler know if they keep their wine or beer glass after dinner, they can take it to the lounge and keep drinking for free the rest of the night. If you don't take it, you will get charged for a glass of wine or a cup of beer, but take it from dinner up to the lounge and you are good to go the rest of the night with your free drinks. Also another way to get you in trouble. This is the typical AMA lounge right there. Typical dining. This one has bigger windows, which is nice. So kind of a half window feel. And that is the chef's table. It is kind of funny because it's at the end of the ship. It kind of vibrates and your glass vibrates a little bit while you're having dinner, but no big thing. This is their famous twin balconies where they have the French balcony and they have an outside balcony. So if you do one of these, I think it's like BB and up, you get those double balconies. Some people really like that. And I've been in these cabins. I got to tour a lot of them. They're really spacious. I mean, very, very nice. Okay, Avalon. 4-star. I would put it in the exact same category as AMA. All excursions included, just like AMA. They do a lot of times have extra options, again, like kayaking that other Europe River operators do not have. Each port has the 3 excursion options. They're active and discovery clues. They have an active option, a discovery option, and a classic option. So they give different categories. So a person has lots to choose from. And of course, the active and discovery cruises, like I had mentioned earlier, if a person really wants to wear themselves out and they want to be sore and they want to sweat their whole vacation, active and discovery on Avalon is their ticket. They created those for those people. Very nice, clean, warm, and inviting ships. It's going to be casual, just like AMA is. I know in the pictures for these companies, everyone is dressed to the nines, but it is not like that on the boat. Everyone is super cash. And they've got the gourmet meal. They kind of tout that they have these 2 famous Austrian vegan chefs that they helped create like vegan and vegetarian menus. So if that's a big deal for someone in their diet, that's something they can. One thing that Avalon has that's really nice is they have cabins. The beds face the window. It has this big panoramic window. It's like basically the biggest balcony. I forget, it's like 11 feet wide or something. So they do have the biggest French balcony option. They don't have any outside balconies. They chose to make the cabins bigger and have it to where you can open up and have like 7 feet of free space. And again, the beds face that window, which is pretty cool. Oh, hey, I remembered right, 7-foot opening. Kind of proud of that. And yep, they have the nicer windows in the dining area compared to AMA. They have a lot of special interest cruises, Jewish heritage, World War II, garden and nature, and you will find boomers saying, hey, I want to go on a World War II river cruise. They have those. Music, all sorts of things. Also, they don't allow children under 8. if that's the thing. So here's a fuzzy picture of that bed facing that, and these windows open up. It's got it in 3 sections, so this middle part will go all the way over, and the side will go all the way over, leaving you with a very, very large French balcony. So nice big windows. All right, Emerald. Also in that 4-star cabin category, I'm going to say that Emerald has amazing discounts. If you go on their website, you are going to find you can get Emerald balcony cabins cheaper often than an AMA fixed window cabin. If they want 4-star and their budget is just a little less, Emerald is a great option. Also, don't offer the discounts you see online right off the bat. You can say, hey, it looks like there might be such and such discount, because even though it's on the website, you could call them and they say, oh no, we only have so many of these discounts we can offer. We just offered the last one 2 hours ago. The website isn't updated yet. I can't give you that $1,500 off per cabin. So don't offer the discount unless you know for sure. Just tell them, hey, it looks like there might be this discount. This might be a really good option. I'm going to look into this for you. I just know that because it's happened to me. All excursions included. I would say their ships are extremely modern looking in comparison to AMA and Avalon, a very clean, chic, kind of sterile look to them. They also are one of the only ones that has indoor pools. I think the only 4-star ship that has an indoor pool. And they do convert that. They have a hydraulic floor that goes over and they turn it into a movie theater in the evenings. Yeah, so they've got some fun stuff that the others don't. And they're very, very into connecting with the local communities, cooking classes, making sure that their guides were like born and raised in those communities. So they're very, very good about that. Feels very adventure life-ish, you know, with how they try very hard to be connected with the communities they're in. And if a person wants to do crazy, more extravagant, there is a package that you can purchase for more options in the excursion categories. Fly deals. Oh, I already said that. That's often the discount you're going to find is it's going to be a fly deal. Often you're going to receive such a huge discount on the cruise that it's cheaper to use that discount and still purchase your own air than to use their fly deal. Because they might give you $1,500 off per person on a cruise when maybe if you purchase the air yourself, it's only going to be $1,000 a person. So you're actually typically going to save money by using their fly deal. Emerald chips, kind of that clean, sterile, less homey feeling, if y'all know what I mean. And there's an example of the indoor pools. Then they turn it into a movie theater. So pretty cool, very clean ships. These windows are hydraulic. This top one, you push a button and it comes down and kind of turns it into a balcony. UniWorld, okay, we are moving into that 5-star or 6-star. It is the white glove silver platter service. If you've got the highfalutin customers that want something a little more fancy, UniWorld is going to be it. And actually, they are quite a bit cheaper than, say, Crystal. So sometimes you can find UniWorld prices on par with AMA prices, but they are definitely going to be in a higher service category. Very, very prestigious reputation. The ships are extremely glitzy, very boutique. Every single ship, they took some European designer to design it very uniquely. And they have things like Picasso hanging on the walls of their ships. Like, who does that? Wrong screen here. Okay, and yes, some of them have indoor heated pools, not all of them. Yep, their food always in magazines. Magazines always talking about how great their food is, but I feel like that happens with a lot of them. Very inclusive. You get drinks all the time. So say with AMA, you get wine and beer with meals. You have to purchase everything else. Not so with UniWorld. It's all included all the time. And gratuities for the staff, for the crew, for the cruise operator, and for all of your guides on the excursions. Everything is included. So when UniWorld says it's inclusive, it's all inclusive. And all the suites have butler service. So you get your butler with your suite, super fancy. And they also as well have themed cruises, wine, Jewish heritage, and whatnot. UniWorld actually has family-themed cruises. So if you have a family and they have some kids and they want something more family-friendly, UniWorld does have those options where they have even like Xbox tournaments for the kids and things like that. So they actually do have those cruises. They do tend to sell out pretty far in advance though. So if somebody wanted to do one in 2 months, you know, it's not it's not going to happen. They're going to be sold out. But very much, they're very glitzy, fancy ships. The River Duchess, the River Queens, as you can see, they're all themed and very different. I see Mary shaking her head. The SS Bon Voyage, very glitzy. Now, off to Scenic. Again, 5-star. Every ship has 5 dining venues. So if the typical 2 options is not okay, and they want lots of different cuisines to choose from, Scenic is a great option. And they do have the different options where you have to be dressed up or you can be casual. So they do have those, different requirements depending on the venues with them. Crystal Dining, River Cafe, River Terrace, Outdoor Dining, Portobello Restaurant, Italian Meals, and Table La Rive. I love it. In their videos, they go, Table La Rive. Kind of silly. But yes, so this is if you're not in a suite, you don't get to go to this one. So they definitely have some of those on there. People want to feel like they're extra special because they bought a suite. They can do it with Scenic and get something that nobody else gets. All drinks included, all gratuities included. The suites all have their complimentary mini bars and also private butlers. I think they all get private butlers, but depending on what category you buy, depends on what services you actually get to have from that butler. And they have GPS headsets. This is kind of cool. I don't think anyone else has this. If you want to explore on your own and not go with the group, you get a headset with that in a map, and you can go from place to place on your own, push the button. It knows GPS, where you're at in the city, and it will tell you information about that area, that building, that kind of a thing. So if you basically want to have your own private guided excursions without other people, you can do that with Scenic, which I think that's kind of cool.
I needed that in Strasbourg, Tanesia. Could have told me how to get to that area that I could never find, that I was probably in.
I'm sure you were so close, Mary. But Scenic, I think, also has that very chic, kind of sterile luxury feel. Everything's the clean lines in their ships. Really beautiful, very modern. But they've got all these fancy pastries, which look great. And they also have these windows that open, but still the outside balcony is also an option with them, whereas Avalon doesn't have outside balconies. All right, Crystal, we're getting to the end here. I tried to speed through it. Everybody's busy, has things to do. 6-star. They named themselves a 6-star company. If any of you were here when our rep was here, we got to hear about that a lot. So these 4 ships only have suites. They don't have anything else. The Mahler, the Bach, the Debussy, and the Ravel. And they are touted to have the largest suites of all river ships. Nobody else beats them in that, in the size category. And they have walk-in closets. I'm telling you, if somebody wants the best of the best of the best of the best and the most expensive price tag, Crystal's the way to go. Butler service, of course, for all suites, 24-hour room service, and bedside iPads. See, the amenities just start stacking up here. You get your own personal bedside iPad. Farm-to-table dining, which is pretty cool. They go those mornings to the communities where they dock, and they get all fresh, local ingredients as much as possible. They also do have pools on their ships and specialty coffees. A lot of the ships have like a little coffee area with like an automatic machine that gives you a coffee. If I remember correctly, they have legit espresso machines where you can have a handcrafted beverage with them. Of course, all gratuities included once again. They have multiple dining options, so not just 1 or 2, but several. And they have multiple lounges, so people aren't stuck with the same couch every afternoon and evening. I will admit I sat on the same couch in the lounge every single time. So they can change their scenery a little bit. The Crystal Mozart is their big mama ship. I mean, that is one bad boy. They bought an old ship, they revamped it, and it is twice as wide as their typical ships. It has a pop-up bar on the Vista deck, a hydraulic thing on the top deck that they can just push a button, comes up their bar, all of a sudden, they've just got cool stuff going on. So here's an example of what the Crystal ships look like. or an indoor pool and a jacuzzi. Yeah, very fancy, very fancy. Here's some suites, bathroom on one of the suites. They've got fireplaces and TVs. Mary, your face, you're cracking me up.
A fireplace on a boat? That does not sound like a good idea.
And, one of the suite sitting areas. So to wrap it up, this is important that I learned. I know with a lot of our product, especially like land tours, it makes more sense where we kind of almost talk about it like it's ours. We don't say that there are ships, but in some ways we just leave it vague who the operator is. Don't do that with Europe River. They will smell you a mile away, like they feel like you're misleading them. Just up front, be like, oh, you know what? We work with Emerald, and Emerald has indoor pools if that's something you want. If that's not so much, I think that AMA could be a really great option. Just be upfront, talk about the company names. You're gonna have a lot better success. Things started going a lot better for me when I started talking to the boomers like that. Because if you don't do that, they're gonna feel like once you send them options and they see all these different companies and different boats, they're gonna feel like you weren't upfront and honest with them. Oh, I don't know where this is anymore. We had that travel savers things where we could go on and get perks. I'm not sure where that's at anymore. Don't have a clue on that, so ignore that. And yeah, talk about some different options, throw out a little perks. A lot of times they have no idea what they want, not even a clue. They won't give you a budget. So you really have to start by talk about a quasi option, talk about the general price of a quasi option. And if they go, oh, wow, that sounds perfect, you could stay there. And then you can be like, there's also AMA, which is a little bit higher star, throw out some general prices of what this costs. And if that sounds good to them, then you can talk about a little bit. And Emerald has pools and Avalon has these active, and you have to start talking about it. Because they don't know what they want. They don't know how much they want to spend. You're going to have to present the options and the price ranges. I know with a lot of our trips, we very much push them, give us a budget, and then we'll tell you what we can do. That's not very successful with these guys. You just have to give them an idea of what things cost. You kind of have to start from there with a lot of them. I don't even remember this. Yeah, just let them know that I know it's overwhelming. There's a lot of information, but through our conversations, we're going to figure out what's going to work for you. So just present yourself as that resource that, yeah, it can be overwhelming. There is a lot of options. If you tap into Europe River Cruises on the internet, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. But let them know that you are the person to help them weed through that. And then that kind of helps them trust you a little bit too. I feel like a lot with the boomers, it's building trust with them, letting them know that, no, you're not going to scam them. You're not going to take them for everything they have. You have to build some trust right off the bat with them. Oh, that's the end of it, guys. I got through that in 35 minutes. So I'm kind of proud. So I don't know that any of you have questions, but if you do,
I have a question,
talk to
Tanesia.
me. Yeah.
So I'm pretty familiar with excursions on the Quasi, the Viking, the AMA. You sort of described how Avalon is more active, or at least has some more active departures. How would you summarize the excursion options to differentiate them for Emerald and the 5 stars?
Here's the thing, is they're all going to be pretty similar. Almost everybody has that active option and everybody has that city tour option. They're all going to try to have local guides. They're all going to have headsets so that you can listen in. I would say unfortunately, the most part, the excursions are pretty similar. Honestly.
Do you feel like from AMA on up that all the 4-star, all the 5-star are going to have multiple options each day, just like you feel like they do it like AMA does it, where they have the slow walkers, they have the active group, they have the biking. Do they all have that?
I'm pretty sure that they all have bicycles. I actually looked into that. Let me recall here. And I actually have that also in that spreadsheet that I made.
Okay, that's the part I wasn't sure if I could really summarize to say they all have the choices that AMA has, but if I can summarize that way, that's all. Especially Emerald, I was really unsure what Emerald does.
They pretty much do. For the slow walkers, I don't remember. I feel like I used to have that information in my head, and it's gone now. It walked away. For the slow walkers specifically, but I can say I do know with Crystal that if a person wants customized excursions, they can pay the extra for that ahead of time. If they want to take a helicopter to somewhere, Crystal can probably arrange it for them. So, and I think Scenic can have also some options for paying for specialized excursions. You just have to plan those ahead of time. You can't wait till you're on the boat to do that. But that's the thing, is really a lot of it comes down to style. What is a person looking for? Are they that home style person who grew up on a farm who wants that really family feel? Well, Amish ships are very warm and inviting, and their staff is very friendly. That'd probably be a great option. They might not feel so comfortable in something like Scenic, where it's high class. Everybody's wearing like Armani clothes, you know. I think part of it is recognizing just where your client's going to feel comfortable too. I don't know. I think that's a big part of it, because you're right. I mean, the excursions are all very similar. They all have bicycles. Those are almost non-factors in figuring out what's going to be best for your client. A lot of it does come to budget and availability. If they want something very specific like the Doro, I'm sorry, you're not going to get a balcony cabin in the Doro, as Kelly found out, for 2021. Almost at this point, it's almost, you're going to have to be open to the whole summer if you want to find one balcony cabin at this point, because the Duro is insane. So sometimes that can be a factor on something like that. You don't get to choose the company necessarily. And of course, there are plenty of companies that still don't do the Doro. I think it's Crystal doesn't have anything on the Doro, which you would think that they would, but they don't. So I think it's just, a lot of it is finding the style of your client and what they're going to feel comfortable on. So yeah. Anything else? Yes, no, done. Say two.
Thank you, Tanesia. We appreciate you.
Can you send this to us too? This is a super helpful.
Totally. I will share this PowerPoint with you guys. I will send this over quickly. All right. Thanks for coming, you guys. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.